Dear students, today we will study about self-concept. Human beings have existed on earth from ancient time. They have also been into research since times immortal. Therefore, there were various discoveries done. As a result of this world has become quite accessible. We can thus say that the world has become a smaller place for us. But desires are unlimited despite all the luxuries we have. Needs fuel desires and desires create more needs. In search of fulfillment of this vicious circle, we have behind mental peace. Consequently, our heart cries for peace. Our ultimate aim in life is to bring peace, happiness, and satisfaction in our life. To bring this satisfaction and happiness in our life, we have to be quite adjustable. Self awareness is necessary for well adjustment. Self awareness is closely concerned with self concept. Self concept helps everybody to grow properly and adjust properly. Positive self concept always strengthens the ability of reasoning, problem solving, and efficiency of a child. High self esteem leads a person towards great success. The concept of self is related to the terms ego and character. Self concept is further explained by following terms. Self esteem refers to general feelings of self worth or self value. Self efficiency is belief in one's capacity to succeed at tasks. General self efficiency is beliefs in one's general capacity to handle tasks. Specific self efficiency refers to beliefs about one's ability to perform specific tasks, that is, driving, public speaking, studying, etc. Self confidence refers to belief in one's personal worth and likelihood of succeeding. Self confidence is a combination of self esteem and general self efficiency. Therefore, self concept is the nature and organization of beliefs about one's self. Self concept is theorized to be multidimensional. For example, people have different beliefs about physical, emotional, social, and many other aspects of themselves. In Western theology, the evil self was constructed with the divinely perfect nature of a soul. Joseph Campbell believed in the concept of an independent, self-directed soul. Self-concept was theorized and developed about 800 years ago. So, it is a relatively new idea which has recently grown in importance. In medieval era, values and meaning were dictated by the conformist community, that is, do what you are told to do. Today, modern self theory says each person is expected to decide what is right without much reliance on the accumulated wisdom of the culture and to know him well enough to determine what courses of action is feel right. Thus, self-concept seems to play a significant role in the growth and development of a person. We must know ourselves so we can set our life's goal and self-actualize. Indeed, self-concepts seem to be positively associated with other desirable qualities such as better quality of life, higher academic performance, and so on. But there is debate about whether improving self-esteem, self-concept, etc. causes improved performance or vice versa. The idea of the self is fundamental to the history of human thoughts. Self provides a link between the socialization experiences and personality changes and development that continues through adolescence into adulthood and old age. Sometimes the term self is used as an object in which An individual is depicted as having knowledge of evaluating the self as object in much the same way one has knowledge of and evaluates another person. One can like and dislike another person. One can like and dislike oneself. The establishment of identity takes place at different levels during the courses of development. Infants and toddlers manifest a sense of physical identity as they begin to refer to pictures of themselves with their own names during the second year. And as the use of personal pronouns like me and I becomes commonplace during the third year. Adolescents manifest a concern with their psychological identity, where they question who they are and what they will become. One can trace progressive developmental shifts in identity during adolescence. Adolescents who have established a commitment for themselves after a period of exploration are considered to have attained the status of identity achievement. Definition of self concept. The self concept as an organizer of behavior is of great importance. Self concept refers to the experience of one's own being. It includes what people come to know about themselves through experience, reflection, and feedback from others. It is an organized cognitive structure comprised of a set of attitude, beliefs, values, variety of habits, abilities, outlooks, ideas, and feelings of a person. Self-concept is a factor which helps to study the human behavior and personality. There are several different components of self-concept: physical, academic, social, and transpersonal. The physical aspects of self-concept relates to the which is concrete, what we look like, our sex, height, weight, etc. What kind of clothes we wear, what kind of car we drive, what kind of home we live in, and so forth. Academic self-concept relates to how well we do in school or how well we learn. There are two levels: a general academic self-concept of how good we are overall, and a set of specific content related self-concepts that describe how good we are in math, science, languages, arts, social science, etc. The social self-concept describes how we relate ourselves to other people. The transpersonal self-concept describes how we relate to supernatural or unknown. Self-concept has been recognized to play a vital role in personality development. It has been established that the way an individual perceives himself goes to shape his behavior patterns. Self-concept may be defined as the totality of perception that each person has to of themselves, and this self-identity plays an important role in the psychological functioning of everyone. By self, we generally mean the conscious reflection of one's own being or identity as an object separate from other or from the environment. There are a variety of ways to think about the self. Self-esteem. Self-esteem is a ratio found by dividing one's successes in area of life of importance to a given individual by the failures in them or one's success or pretensions. Problems with this approach arise from making self-esteem contingent upon success. This implies inherent instability because failure can occur at any moment. Nathaniel Burden in 1969 briefly defined self-esteem as the experience of being competent to cope with the basic challenges of life and being worthy of happiness. Self-esteem is commonly defined as the belief that a person is accepted, connected, unique, powerful, and capable. Self-esteem issues take on a particular significance for students with learning or attention problems because self-assessment of this concept requires the ability to evaluate and compare. These are two skills that are extraordinarily challenging for students with special needs. Therefore, these children are often unable to accurately measure or assess their own self-esteem because self-esteem is a feeling, not a skill. It can only be measured by observing the way in which a person acts or behaves. Teachers and parents must become keen and insightful observers of children in order to assess their self-esteem. Synonymous or near synonymous of self-esteem include self-worth, self-regard, self-respect, self-love, and self-integrity. Self-esteem is distinct from self-confidence and self-efficiency, which involves beliefs about ability and future performance. Key differences between self-concept and self-esteem. The key differences between self-concept and self-esteem is due to the addition of feelings. Self-concept is simply the informational side of things, where you know facts about that you are like. Self-esteem is how you feel about those things you know. Like, for example, whether you enjoy the fact that you are talkative at parties, or you think that you are annoying and need to learn to shut up sometimes. Self-concept is the cognitive or thinking aspects of self and generally refers, according to Perkey 1988, the totality of a complex, organized and dynamic system of learned beliefs, attitudes and opinions that each person holds to be true about his or her personal existence. Self-esteem is the affective or emotional aspects of self and generally refers to how we feel about or how we value ourselves or one's self-worth. Self-concept can also refer to the general idea we have or ourselves, and self-esteem can refer to particular measures about components of self-concept. The self-concept is a set of ideas about oneself that is descriptive rather than judgmental. Self-esteem, on the other hand, refers to one's evaluation of one's own qualities. An example may clarify the distinction. An 8-year-old boy might have a concept of himself as someone who fights a lot. If he values his ability to fight and stand up for him, that quality might add to his self-esteem. If he is unhappy about himself or his tendency to get into conflicts, then his response to aggression might detract from his self-esteem. Similarities between self-concept and self-esteem. Self-esteem is not identical of self-concept, though the two are often confused. Self-concept and self-esteem also have a lot in common, though mostly that they are reflective processes. They can be influenced not only by observing one's own self and behavior objectively, but also by observing the reactions that other people have to you and your behavior, or imagining what other people might think of you or what you would think of yourself if you see yourself from outside. Self identity. Self identity means awareness of and identification with oneself as a separate individual. It is a person's inner world. It is a composite of a person's thoughts and feelings, strivings and hopes, fears and fantasies, his views of what he is what he has been, what he might become, and his attitude pertaining to his worth. Self identity becomes a serious issue at the secondary level. At the primary level, children are children. They play and fight together and are unaware of their identity. But at the secondary level, students becomes much aware of their identity. It is very difficult for them to accept the fact that others also have the same uniqueness and claims of greatness as they have. Adolescents at this level tend to have higher self esteem and to be less deceptive and more direct in their social interactions than adolescents who have not attained this identity status. Thank you and have a good day.